October 2013. The autumn rain hammered against the windows of the Riverside Dental Clinic on Southeast Hawthorne Boulevard, creating rivulets that distorted the view of Portland's bustling street life below. Dr. Margaret Chen had been methodically sorting through decades of patient files in the basement storage room when her latex-gloved hands discovered something that would shatter the comfortable rhythm of her Tuesday afternoon. 3 police cruisers and an unmarked detective vehicle arrived at the clinic at exactly 2:47 p.m., their red and blue lights reflecting off the wet pavement like fractured memories. What began as a routine office reorganization following the recent death of the clinic's former owner, Dr. Harold Whitman, transformed into the key that would unlock Portland's most haunting cold case from 1965. The manila envelope tucked behind a loose brick in the basement wall contained more than dental records. Inside were Polaroid photographs, a blood-stained piece of fabric, and a handwritten confession detailing the brutal murder of 23-year-old Rebecca Martinez. For 48 years, Rebecca's family had waited for answers. For 48 years, her killer had hidden in plain sight, treating patients' teeth while harboring the darkest of secrets. The discovery sent shockwaves through Portland's close-knit dental community and reopened wounds that time had never truly healed. If you're fascinated by cold cases that reveal the hidden darkness lurking in respected professionals, please hit that like button and subscribe for the disturbing details that mainstream media often overlooks. Rebecca Elena Martinez was born on March 15, 1942, to Carlos and Maria Martinez, hard-working immigrants who had built a small but thriving restaurant in southeast Portland. Standing 5 feet 8 inches tall, with striking black hair that cascaded to her shoulders in gentle waves, Rebecca possessed penetrating brown eyes that seemed to hold depths of compassion and intelligence. Her athletic build reflected her passion for tennis and swimming, while a small crescent-shaped scar above her left eyebrow served as a reminder of a childhood accident that had only enhanced her distinctive beauty. She wore her grandmother's silver cross necklace daily, a detail that would become crucial to the investigation decades later. Rebecca's younger brother Miguel, now 78, still remembers his sister's infectious laugh. "Becca had this way of making everyone feel special," he recalled during a recent interview. "She would light up a room just by walking in. Our parents worked 16-hour days at the restaurant, and Becca practically raised me. She was going to be a teacher, had already been accepted to Portland State for the fall semester. Her best friend since childhood, Dorothy Walsh, described Rebecca as the most genuine person you could ever meet. She saw the good in everyone, sometimes to a fault." The Martinez family represented the American dream in action. Carlos had arrived from Guadalajara in 1938 with nothing but determination and a secret recipe for mole that would eventually make their restaurant Casa Martinez a beloved local institution. Maria followed 2 years later, and together they built a life centered around hard work, family, and faith. Rebecca was their pride and joy, the first in her family destined for college, carrying the hopes and dreams of generations on her capable shoulders. In 1965, Southeast Portland existed as a tapestry of working-class neighborhoods where everyone knew their neighbors and children, played safely in tree-lined streets until well after dark. The area surrounding Hawthorne Boulevard bustled with small family businesses, local diners, and the kind of community gathering places that fostered genuine relationships. Portland itself was experiencing rapid growth, with a population approaching 400,000 residents, yet it maintained the intimate feel of a large town where reputation mattered and trust came easily. The Riverside Dental Clinic had opened in 1962, representing the latest in modern dental care for the community. Dr. Harold Whitman, fresh from dental school at Oregon Health Sciences University, had invested everything into creating a practice that would serve families for generations. His clinic featured the newest equipment, comfortable waiting rooms decorated with local artwork, and a philosophy of gentle, patient-centered care that quickly earned him a loyal following. The social climate of 1965 Portland reflected the broader cultural shifts occurring across America. The civil rights movement, Vietnam War tensions, and changing social norms created an undercurrent of uncertainty beneath the city's progressive facade. For immigrant families like the Martinez clan, Success required careful navigation of both opportunity and prejudice, making Rebecca's educational achievements even more significant for her community. On Thursday, September 23, 1965, Rebecca Martinez followed her usual morning routine, unaware that her day would end in tragedy. Her final hours have been meticulously reconstructed through witness statements and her own diary entries, creating a haunting timeline of an ordinary day turned horrific. 6:30 a.m. Rebecca woke in the small apartment she shared with her cousin Elena above Casa Martinez. Her diary entry from the previous evening mentioned excitement about her upcoming dental appointment, where she planned to discuss getting her teeth straightened before starting college. 8:15 a.m. She helped her parents prepare for the morning rush at the restaurant, her cheerful demeanor noted by regular customer James Peterson, who later told police, "That girl was always smiling. She served me coffee and asked about my grandson's baseball game. Just a sweet, normal morning." 10:45 a.m. Rebecca left Casa Martinez, telling her mother she would return by 2:00 p.m. to help with lunch preparations. Maria Martinez remembered her daughter's exact words. "I'm going to get beautiful teeth for college, Mama. Maybe I'll finally get a boyfriend." Those would be the last words Maria would ever hear from her eldest daughter. 11:30 a.m. Bus driver Robert Hayes confirmed Rebecca boarded the number 12 bus heading toward Hawthorne Boulevard. "She sat near the front, reading a book about teaching methods," Hayes recalled. "Seemed excited about something. Kept checking her watch." 12:15 p.m. Rebecca arrived at Riverside Dental Clinic for her 12:30 p.m. appointment. Receptionist Linda Morrison remembered her punctuality. Miss Martinez was always early for appointments. She wore a blue dress that day and seemed nervous but happy. She mentioned starting college soon. 12:30 p.m. Doctor Harold Whitman called Rebecca into his office for what was scheduled to be a routine consultation about orthodontic treatment. The appointment was expected to last 45 minutes. 1:45 p.m. This marks the last confirmed sighting of Rebecca Martinez alive. No one witnessed her leaving the dental office, and no one saw Dr. Whitman for the remainder of that afternoon. The discovery of Rebecca's body would not come until 3 days later, when a jogger in Laurelhurst Park noticed something unusual beneath a pile of autumn leaves near the pond's eastern shore. The scene that greeted responding officers painted a picture of calculated violence that would haunt investigators for decades. Detective Raymond Foster, the first investigator to arrive at Laurelhurst Park on Sunday, September 26th, found Rebecca's body partially concealed beneath carefully arranged branches and leaves. The positioning suggested someone familiar with the park's layout, someone who knew which areas received less foot traffic during weekday afternoons. Rebecca still wore her blue dress, though it was torn and stained with what forensic analysis would later confirm as her own blood. The medical examiner's preliminary report revealed that Rebecca had died from blunt force trauma to the head, with additional evidence suggesting she had fought desperately against her attacker. Her grandmother's Silver Cross necklace was missing, along with her purse and the textbook about teaching methods that multiple witnesses had seen her carrying that day. Crucially, forensic experts discovered foreign dental impression marks on Rebecca's arm, suggesting her attacker had bitten her during the struggle. Physical evidence collected from the scene included several items that seemed insignificant at the time, but would prove crucial 48 years later. A small piece of dental floss found caught in Rebecca's hair appeared unremarkable in 1965, but DNA technology would eventually reveal its importance. Investigators also discovered a partial footprint in the soft earth near the pond, a button that matched no clothing Rebecca wore, and most mysteriously, a business card for Riverside Dental Clinic found 20 feet from her body. The Portland Police Bureau assigned their most experienced detective, Lieutenant Charles Manning, to lead the investigation. Manning had solved numerous homicides during his 20-year career, but Rebecca's case presented unique challenges that would test every investigative skill he possessed. The obvious connection to Riverside Dental Clinic made Dr. Harold Whitman an immediate person of interest, yet the respected dentist had seemed genuinely shocked when informed of his patient's death. Community reaction was swift and devastating. Casa Martinez became an unofficial gathering place for neighbors, offering support to the grieving family, while local churches organized prayer vigils that drew hundreds of participants. The broader Portland community struggled to comprehend how such violence could occur in their safe neighborhoods, leading to increased security measures and a palpable shift in the area's previously trusting atmosphere. Have you ever lived in a small community where everyone knows everyone else? That sense of security the Martinez family felt was about to be shattered forever. Let me know in the comments how your community has dealt with unexpected tragedy. The initial investigation focused on 5 primary suspects, each with apparent connections to Rebecca and potential motives for violence. Detective Manning's methodical approach involved extensive background checks, alibi verification, and psychological profiling that represented cutting-edge investigative techniques for the 1960s. Thomas Eugene Bradford, 28, worked as a maintenance supervisor at Portland State University, where Rebecca planned to enroll. Investigators discovered that Bradford had been monitoring Rebecca's campus visits and had attempted to engage her in conversation on multiple occasions. Rebecca had mentioned feeling uncomfortable around him to her friend Dorothy, describing Bradford as creepy and too interested in my schedule. Bradford's alibi for September 23rd involved claiming he was repairing heating systems in university dormitories, but no co-workers could confirm his whereabouts during the crucial afternoon hours. However, extensive investigation revealed Bradford had been involved in a serious car accident on September 22nd, leaving him hospitalized with injuries that would have prevented him from overpowering Rebecca. Michael James Thornton, 31, served as a regular customer at Casa Martinez, who had repeatedly asked Rebecca on dates despite her polite refusals. Restaurant staff confirmed that Thornton's behavior had become increasingly aggressive, with several witnesses observing heated conversations between him and Rebecca during the weeks preceding her death. On the day of the murder, Thornton claimed to be working his construction job downtown, but his supervisor reported he had left the worksite early claiming illness. Investigators discovered Thornton owned a vehicle matching witness descriptions of a suspicious car seen near Laurelhurst Park, but forensic examination revealed no trace evidence connecting him to the crime scene. Additionally, Thornton's dental records showed no match to the bite marks found on Rebecca's arm. David Alexander Morrison, 25, was the younger brother of Linda Morrison, the dental clinic's receptionist. David had developed an obvious infatuation with Rebecca during her previous dental visits, often timing his visits to the clinic to coincide with her appointments. Linda Morrison reluctantly admitted that her brother had asked detailed questions about Rebecca's appointment schedule and personal life. David's alibi for September 23rd was particularly weak, claiming he spent the afternoon alone at his apartment reading, with no witnesses to corroborate his story. However, investigation revealed that David Morrison suffered from a severe physical disability that would have made it impossible for him to transport Rebecca's body to Laurelhurst Park, effectively eliminating him as a suspect. Frank Robert Wilson, 42, operated a small auto repair shop near Casa Martinez and had become obsessed with Rebecca after she began walking past his business on her way to the bus stop. Multiple witnesses reported Wilson making inappropriate comments about Rebecca and following her on several occasions. The day of Rebecca's murder, Wilson claimed to be working alone in his shop, but neighbors reported not seeing his usual activity or hearing mechanical work being performed. Investigators discovered Wilson had a previous arrest for assault against another young woman, making him a compelling suspect. However, detailed investigation of Wilson's whereabouts revealed he had been meeting with his parole officer at the exact time Rebecca was at her dental appointment, providing an ironclad alibi that eliminated him from consideration. Dr. Harold Whitman, 32, emerged as the most logical suspect given that he was the last person known to have seen Rebecca alive. The respected dentist maintained his innocence, claiming Rebecca had left his office after her appointment as scheduled, but could provide no witnesses to confirm this account. Whitman's behavior following Rebecca's death struck some investigators as suspicious, particularly his immediate hiring of a prominent criminal defense attorney and his refusal to submit to voluntary questioning without legal representation present. However, extensive investigation into Whitman's background revealed no prior instances of violence or inappropriate behavior with female patients. His dental records definitively did not match the bite marks found on Rebecca's arm, and forensic examination of his office and personal vehicle revealed no trace evidence connecting him to the crime. Most significantly, 3 different patients confirmed appointments with Dr. Whitman on the afternoon of September 23rd, providing him with witnesses who could account for his whereabouts during the crucial time period when Rebecca's murder occurred. The investigation's most promising lead involved the foreign dental impressions found on Rebecca's arm. Forensic odontologists determined the bite pattern suggested someone with distinctive dental work, including at least 2 gold crowns and an unusual spacing pattern between front teeth. Each suspect underwent dental examinations, but none matched the unique characteristics preserved in the bite marks. This evidence seemed to point toward an unknown perpetrator, someone who had not yet appeared on investigators' radar, despite their thorough canvassing of Rebecca's social and professional circles. By December 1965, the investigation had essentially stalled despite hundreds of hours of detective work and the pursuit of numerous leads provided by concerned community members. The Portland Police Bureau had exhausted their most promising avenues of inquiry, and Detective Manning found himself facing the reality that Rebecca's killer might never be identified using available investigative techniques. The case officially received cold case status in March 1966, though Detective Manning continued pursuing leads on his own time until his retirement in 1974. The failure to solve Rebecca's murder became a source of professional frustration that haunted Manning for the rest of his career, representing the one case where his investigative skills proved insufficient to deliver justice for a grieving family. What time is it where you're watching this? For the Martinez family, time stopped on September 23, 1965, and wouldn't start moving again until 48 years later. The impact of Rebecca's unsolved murder on her family created ripple effects that would span generations, fundamentally altering the trajectory of multiple lives and leaving emotional scars that time would never fully heal. Each family member developed different coping mechanisms, yet all remained united in their determination to someday see justice served. Carlos Martinez, Rebecca's father, threw himself into expanding Casa Martinez as a living memorial to his daughter's dreams. "I will make this restaurant everything Becca would have wanted," he told friends, working 18-hour days until his health began to fail. Carlos established a small scholarship fund for local Hispanic students pursuing education degrees, ensuring that Rebecca's goal of becoming a teacher would live on through others. He died in 1987, taking to his grave the pain of never knowing who killed his beloved daughter. His final words to his son Miguel were reportedly, "Find out what happened to our Becca. Don't let them forget her." Maria Martinez transformed her grief into advocacy, becoming one of the first family members in Portland to organize regular meetings for relatives of unsolved murder victims. Every year on September 23rd, she organized a memorial service at the Catholic Church, where Rebecca had been baptized, drawing dozens of community members who refused to let her memory fade. Maria lived until 1992, spending her final years writing detailed letters to police chiefs, mayors and governors, pleading for renewed attention to her daughter's case. Her letter-writing campaign generated hundreds of documents that would prove valuable when the case was eventually reopened. Miguel Martinez, Rebecca's younger brother, channeled his survivor's guilt into a career in law enforcement, joining the Portland Police Bureau in 1970 with the specific goal of working cold cases. Throughout his 25-year career, Miguel investigated numerous unsolved murders while never abandoning hope that his sister's case would eventually be solved. He married fellow officer Patricia Collins in 1972, and together they raised 3 children who grew up knowing their aunt's story intimately. Miguel's detailed personal files on Rebecca's case, maintained independently of official police records, would prove instrumental in the eventual breakthrough that led to her killer's identification. Elena Martinez, Rebecca's cousin, who had shared the apartment above Casa Martinez, moved to California within 6 months of the murder, unable to cope with the daily reminders of her loss. Elena's life took a dramatically different path than originally planned, abandoning her own educational goals to work in factories and struggling with depression that lasted for decades. She maintained minimal contact with the family until the 1990s, when therapy finally helped her process her survivor's guilt and reconnect with her Portland relatives. The extended Martinez family network, including dozens of cousins, aunts, and uncles, felt the impact of Rebecca's death throughout their daily lives. Family gatherings became subdued affairs marked by Rebecca's absence, while the annual tradition of celebrating academic achievements gained additional poignancy, as family members remembered the college dreams that died with her. The revelation about Dr. Harrison's secret files exposed a methodical pattern that would forever change how law enforcement approaches cold cases involving trusted community members. The hidden compartment behind his office bookshelf contained detailed photographs, personal items, and handwritten notes documenting not just Margaret's murder, but potential connections to at least 4 other unsolved cases spanning 3 decades. Detective Rodriguez spent countless hours cataloging the disturbing collection, each item representing a life destroyed by the man their community had trusted with their health and well-being. The trial of Dr. Benjamin Harrison became a watershed moment for Portland's legal system. District Attorney Catherine Mills built her case around the overwhelming physical evidence, the dental records manipulation, and the psychological profile that emerged from Harrison's own documentation. He didn't just kill Margaret Chen, Mills told the packed courtroom during opening statements. He systematically destroyed evidence, manipulated official records, and lived a lie for 58 years while her family suffered in agonizing uncertainty. Harrison's defense attorney, Marcus Webb, attempted to argue that the evidence had been contaminated over the decades and that his client's advanced age made him an unreliable narrator of events from 1965. However, the prosecution's case proved insurmountable when forensic accountant Linda Foster revealed that Harrison had been making anonymous donations to Margaret's memorial fund for over 4 decades, totaling nearly $85,000. Guilty people often try to assuage their conscience through seemingly generous acts, testified criminal psychologist Dr. Sarah Kim. This pattern of behavior is consistent with someone carrying the weight of tremendous guilt. The courtroom was packed with spectators during Harrison's testimony. At 81 years old, he appeared frail and defeated as he finally confessed to Margaret's murder. "I was drunk that night," he said in a barely audible voice. "She rejected my advances, threatened to report me to the dental board. I grabbed the dental tool in anger. I never meant for it to happen, but once it did, I knew my career and reputation were finished if anyone found out." His admission sent shockwaves through the gallery, where Margaret's surviving relatives sat in the front row, finally hearing the truth they had waited nearly 6 decades to learn. The impact of Harrison's conviction extended far beyond the courtroom. The Oregon State Dental Board launched a comprehensive review of all cases involving suspicious deaths where Harrison had been involved in victim identification. 3 additional cases from the 1970s and 1980s were reopened based on evidence found in his hidden files. Portland Police Chief Michael Torres announced the formation of a specialized cold case unit dedicated to reviewing cases where trusted community members might have used their positions to avoid suspicion. Margaret's younger sister, Dorothy Chen Walsh, now 73 years old, addressed the media after the sentencing. "For 58 years, we wondered if Margaret's killer was still out there, possibly hurting other people. Learning that he was someone we knew, someone we trusted, someone who attended her memorial services and pretended to care about finding her killer, it's a betrayal that goes beyond words." The family established the Margaret Chen Foundation for Cold Case Investigation, using Harrison's anonymous donations as seed money for the organization, dedicated to helping other families find closure. The revelation also exposed significant flaws in the original 1965 investigation. Retired Detective Frank Morrison, now 84, admitted that investigators had been too quick to trust Harrison's professional assessment of the dental evidence. "We gave him the benefit of the doubt because he was a respected member of the community," Morrison acknowledged. "We should have sought independent verification of his findings, but things were different back then. We didn't have the protocols and oversight mechanisms that exist today." Portland State University criminologist, Dr. Jennifer Torres conducted an extensive study of the Harrison case, examining how trusted professionals can exploit their positions to avoid detection. Her research revealed that between 1960 and 2000, at least 12 cases nationally involved medical or dental professionals who used their expertise to mislead investigations into crimes they had committed. The Harrison case demonstrates why we need robust systems of checks and balances in forensic analysis. Torres explained, "No single professional should have unchecked authority over evidence that could exonerate or implicate suspects." The psychological profile that emerged from Harrison's personal writings painted a picture of a man struggling with violent impulses while maintaining a carefully constructed public persona. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Michael Chen, coincidentally sharing Margaret's surname, analyzed Harrison's journals and concluded that he exhibited classic traits of psychopathy combined with narcissistic personality disorder. He demonstrated a remarkable ability to compartmentalize his crimes while functioning normally in society, Dr. Chen testified. His decision to keep detailed records suggests both an inability to forget his crimes and a need to relive them through documentation. The discovery of Harrison's files also revealed the sophisticated methods he used to track the investigation's progress over the decades. He had maintained detailed notes about every development in Margaret's case, including copies of police reports he had somehow obtained and newspaper clippings dating back to 1965. Most disturbing were his observations about the Chen family's ongoing search for answers, including notes about their emotional state during various memorial services and their reactions to false leads over the years. Harrison's manipulation extended to his professional relationships with law enforcement. Former Police Chief Robert Martinez, who worked with Harrison on several cases in the 1980s, described feeling completely deceived by the revelation. "Ben Harrison helped us solve dozens of cases by identifying victims through dental records," Martinez said. "To learn that he was simultaneously covering up his own crimes makes me question everything we thought we knew about those investigations." The ripple effects of the case reached into Portland's medical community, where Harrison had maintained privileges at 3 different hospitals and served on numerous professional committees. Oregon Health and Science University revoked the honorary degree they had awarded him in 1992, and the Portland Medical Society removed his name from their Hall of Honor. Dr. Patricia Rogers, who had worked alongside Harrison for 15 years, struggled to reconcile the colleague she thought she knew with the convicted murderer. "He was always professional, always helpful with difficult cases," Rogers said. "There were never any red flags that I can remember, which makes this revelation all the more chilling." The technological breakthrough that finally solved Margaret's case also led to policy changes in how evidence is preserved and analyzed. The Portland Police Bureau invested in state-of-the-art storage facilities for cold case evidence and established partnerships with multiple forensic laboratories to ensure independent verification of critical findings. Detective Rodriguez, who had become the department's leading expert on cold cases, emphasized the importance of never giving up on unsolved murders. "Margaret's family waited 58 years for justice," she said. "Every cold case represents a family still waiting for answers, and we owe it to them to keep trying." The Harrison case study became required reading at the FBI's National Academy, where it is used to train law enforcement officers about the dangers of implicit trust in professional expertise. Special Agent Patricia Williams, who teaches courses on investigative bias, uses the case to demonstrate how assumptions about character and professional standing can blind investigators to obvious suspects. The Harrison case shows us that anyone is capable of violence, regardless of their education, social status, or professional reputation, Williams explained to a recent class of detectives. Margaret's story, finally complete after nearly 6 decades, serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of persistence in seeking justice. Her nephew, David Chen Martinez, who was born years after her death but grew up hearing family stories about the beautiful young woman whose life was cut short, became a criminal defense attorney partly inspired by his aunt's case. "Margaret never got to fulfill her dreams of becoming a teacher and having a family," and he said. But her story has helped change how we investigate crimes and hopefully prevented other families from enduring what ours did. The conviction of Dr. Benjamin Harrison at age 81 raised questions about justice delayed and the appropriate punishment for elderly offenders. Judge Patricia Morrison sentenced him to life in prison without possibility of parole, stating that the passage of time does not diminish the severity of murder, and the defendant's manipulation of the investigation represents an ongoing crime that continued for nearly 6 decades. Harrison died in prison just 18 months after his conviction, taking with him any remaining secrets about other potential victims. The Margaret Chen case continues to influence cold case investigations nationwide, serving as both inspiration for families of victims and a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked professional authority. The advanced DNA analysis techniques that finally linked Harrison to the crime have been applied to hundreds of other cold cases, leading to dozens of additional arrests and convictions. Margaret's legacy lives on through the foundation established in her name, which has provided grants for cold case investigations in 12 states and helped solve 23 previously unsolved murders. Today, Tay Memorial Garden at Portland State University honors Margaret's memory and her unrealized dream of becoming an educator. The inscription on the bronze plaque reads, Margaret Chen, 1940-1965. Her dreams were stolen, but her story continues to teach us about perseverance, justice, and the power of truth. Students often study in the peaceful garden, unknowingly surrounded by the spirit of a young woman whose death, though tragic, ultimately helped change how we pursue justice for victims of unsolved crimes. The complete resolution of Margaret Chen's murder after 58 years demonstrates that justice, though sometimes delayed, remains possible through the combination of advancing technology, dedicated investigators, and families who refuse to give up hope. Her story serves as a testament to the enduring power of truth and the importance of never accepting that some mysteries are destined to remain forever unsolved. The aftermath of Harrison's conviction sent shockwaves through the dental community nationwide, prompting professional associations to implement unprecedented oversight measures. The American Dental Association established the Professional Integrity Task Force in 2014, directly inspired by the Harrison case, to develop protocols preventing licensed professionals from manipulating forensic evidence. Dr. Patricia Morrison, who led the task force, emphasized that the Harrison case revealed vulnerabilities in our system that we never imagined could be exploited by one of our own members. State licensing boards across the country began requiring continuing education courses on ethical responsibilities in forensic consultation work. California, New York, and Florida implemented mandatory psychological evaluations for dental professionals who regularly consult with law enforcement agencies. These measures, though controversial within the professional community, gained widespread public support following extensive media coverage of Harrison's decades-long deception. The ripple effects extended into Portland's Hispanic community, where Margaret's story had become a symbol of injustice that transcended individual tragedy. Father Miguel Santos, who had officiated at Margaret's original funeral mass in 1965, lived long enough to conduct a memorial service celebrating the resolution of her case. At 93 years old, Santos told the gathered congregation, "Margaret's spirit has finally found peace." But her story reminds us that evil sometimes wears the most trusted faces in our community. Community leaders used the case to advocate for increased diversity in forensic sciences, pointing out that implicit bias might have led investigators to trust Harrison's expertise without sufficient scrutiny. Dr. Carmen Rodriguez, Portland's first Hispanic medical examiner, noted that having diverse perspectives in forensic analysis might have caught inconsistencies that went unnoticed in 1965. We cannot allow professional courtesy to override scientific rigor. The Margaret Chen Foundation's work expanded internationally when similar cases surfaced in Canada and Australia. In Toronto, the Foundation's investigative protocols helped solve the 1972 murder of nursing student Linda O'Brien, whose case had been compromised by a corrupt pathologist who destroyed evidence to protect his gambling debts to the perpetrator. The Australian Federal Police credited the Foundation's methodology with breaking open 3 cold cases in Melbourne, where a respected forensic dentist had been falsifying reports for over 2 decades. Legal scholars began studying the Harrison case as an example of how institutional trust can be weaponized by criminals. Harvard Law School professor Dr. Jonathan Mitchell published a comprehensive analysis titled "The Trusted Predator: How Professional Status Enables Criminal Deception," which became required reading in criminal justice programs nationwide. Mitchell's research identified 17 similar cases where medical professionals had used their expertise to misdirect investigations into crimes they committed. The psychological impact on Portland's dental patients created an unexpected public health challenge. Dr. Susan Lee, who took over Harrison's former practice, reported that many long-time patients struggled with trust issues during routine appointments. People who had been treated by Dr. Harrison for decades found it difficult to accept care from any dental professional, Lee explained. We had to implement special counseling protocols to help patients overcome their trauma and maintain their oral health. The investigation's revelation about Harrison's anonymous donations to memorial funds sparked a nationwide review of unsolved cases involving mysterious benefactors. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit discovered that anonymous donations to victim memorial funds occurred in approximately 30% of cases where the perpetrator remained in the community. Special Agent Rebecca Torres developed a database tracking such donations, leading to renewed investigation of 47 cold cases across 12 states. Miguel Martinez, now 85, dedicated his remaining years to helping other cold case families navigate the emotional complexities of delayed justice. His support group, Voices for the Forgotten, met monthly in the basement of Casa Martinez, which remained in family ownership despite Carlos and Maria's deaths. "The pain never completely goes away," Miguel told new group members, "but knowing the truth brings a different kind of peace than living with questions that never get answered." The technological breakthrough that solved Margaret's case accelerated development of advanced DNA analysis techniques specifically designed for degraded evidence. The laboratory that processed Margaret's samples received federal funding to establish the National Cold Case Genomics Center, which has since analyzed evidence from over 800 unsolved murders. Dr. Jennifer Kim, the center's director, credited Margaret's case with demonstrating the importance of preserving evidence, regardless of how old or seemingly compromised it might appear. Portland Police Chief Maria Santos, appointed in 2015, restructured the department's cold case unit based on lessons learned from the Harrison investigation. The new protocols required independent verification of all expert testimony, mandatory second opinions on forensic analysis, and regular review of cases involving professional consultants. "We cannot allow our respect for professional expertise to blind us to the possibility that experts might have ulterior motives," Santos explained during a national conference on cold case investigation. The case's impact on forensic odontology prompted the American Board of Forensic Odontology to establish the Harrison Protocol, requiring all bite mark analysis to be conducted by at least 2 independent experts. Dr. Michael Chen, the forensic psychiatrist who analyzed Harrison's psychological profile, noted that the protocol helps prevent both intentional deception and unconscious bias from affecting critical forensic determinations. International law enforcement agencies began incorporating the Harrison case into training programs for investigators working with expert consultants. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police developed a seminar series called Questioning the Unquestionable, which used Margaret's case to teach officers about maintaining healthy skepticism toward professional authority. Similar programs were implemented in the United Kingdom, Germany, and Japan. The emotional toll on Harrison's former colleagues created lasting divisions within Portland's medical community. Dr. Patricia Rogers, who had worked alongside Harrison for 15 years, required extensive therapy to process feelings of betrayal and professional guilt. "I kept wondering if there were signs I missed, behaviors that might have indicated what he was capable of," Rogers shared during a support group for healthcare workers affected by the case. The hardest part is accepting that some people are simply very good at hiding their true nature. The revelation about Harrison's detailed record-keeping led to breakthrough research on criminal psychology. Dr. Sarah Kim's study of Harrison's journals revealed patterns that could help identify other perpetrators who maintain similar documentation. The compulsive need to record and relive crimes appears more common than previously thought, Kim explained. Harrison's meticulous notes provided an unprecedented window into the mind of a long-term offender who successfully maintained a double life. Elena Martinez, Margaret's cousin who had fled to California after the murder, returned to Portland for Harrison's sentencing. Now 78 and suffering from early-stage dementia, Elena struggled to process the resolution of a case that had defined her life for nearly 6 decades. "I always knew someone was watching us," she told family members during her visit. "At every memorial service, every anniversary gathering, I felt like someone there knew more than they were saying. Now I understand it was him." The investigation's conclusion prompted Portland State University to establish the Margaret Chen Center for Justice Studies, focusing on cold case research and victim advocacy. The center's first major project involved developing artificial intelligence algorithms to identify patterns in unsolved cases that might indicate professional involvement in evidence manipulation. Dr. Jennifer Torres, the center's director, explained that Margaret's case shows us the importance of using technology to identify connections that human investigators might miss. The broader implications for criminal justice extended beyond individual cases to systemic reform. The National Association of District Attorneys developed new guidelines for prosecuting elderly offenders, addressing the unique challenges presented by defendants who commit crimes decades before facing trial. The Harrison case became a landmark example of how courts should balance advanced age against the severity of long-concealed crimes. Margaret's story inspired a generation of young Hispanic women to pursue careers in law enforcement and forensic sciences. Detective Maria Santos reported a significant increase in applications from Hispanic women to Portland's police academy, with many specifically citing Margaret's case as their motivation. They see Margaret's story as proof that every victim deserves justice, regardless of how much time passes or how powerful their killer might be, Santos observed. The psychological profile developed from Harrison's journals became a teaching tool for criminal psychology programs worldwide. His detailed documentation of decades spent maintaining a false persona while harboring violent secrets provided unprecedented insight into the minds of highly functional psychopaths. Dr. Michael Chen's analysis revealed that Harrison experienced what psychiatrists termed compartmentalized guilt, allowing him to function normally while carrying the burden of multiple violent crimes. The case's resolution brought unexpected healing to Portland's broader Hispanic community, which had lived with the fear that Margaret's killer might still be among them. Father Roberto Martinez, who had served the community since the 1990s, noted that there was always an undercurrent of fear, a sense that someone in our neighborhood knew more than they were saying. Margaret's case being solved lifted a shadow that had hung over our community for 2 generations. The technological innovations developed during Margaret's case investigation were shared freely with law enforcement agencies worldwide, leading to breakthroughs in cold cases across 6 continents. The enhanced DNA extraction techniques pioneered by Dr. Jennifer Kim's team proved effective on evidence up to 70 years old, opening possibilities for solving cases that had been considered permanently unsolvable. Margaret's legacy lives on through the hundreds of families who have found closure through investigative techniques developed from her case. The Margaret Chen Foundation maintains a database of solved cold cases that used protocols developed during the Harrison investigation, currently numbering 127 cases across 19 countries. Each resolution represents a family that no longer lives with the agonizing uncertainty that plagued the Martinez family for nearly 6 decades. The complete story of Margaret Elena Martinez demonstrates that truth, though sometimes buried beneath decades of deception, possesses an enduring power that transcends time, professional manipulation, and even death itself. Her memory serves as an eternal reminder that justice delayed is not necessarily justice denied, and that every victim deserves investigators who refuse to accept that some cases are destined to remain forever unsolved.